guy who had to drop out of college, guy that was scrubbing pots and pans, that's rank and file money goes to the unions. Unions support Democratic candidates. Democratic candidates funnel exorbitant benefits to them that they kick the can down the road and can't afford. But do they care about the children? You decide. We'll roll this tape.
It is not because of our creative ideas. It is not because of the merit of our positions. It is not because we care about children, and it is not because we have a vision of a great public school for every child. NEA and its affiliates are effective advocates because we have power. And we have power because there are more than 3.2 million people who are willing to pay us hundreds of millions of dollars in dues each year because they believe that we are the unions that can most effectively represent them.
It's not because we care about children. It's not because we have creative ideas. It's not because of the merits of our position. Mike, do you find that as offensive as I do?
Well, you know, what we're saying is that it is our
I asked you a question. Is that
voice.
offensive to you?
It is not the question that we have to face today. Today, the question is, what are we doing to improve education?
This is about unions. Do you find what the head of the NEA said about children? Do you find that offensive?
He did. You took that out of context. You
I
really
played it in its entirety.
I know this person, but it's taken out of context. He did not say that we don't care about kids.
It's not our creative about our creative. It's not the merit of our positions. It's not because we care about children.
But we do care about children.
Apparently he doesn't.
We care about children, and that's exactly
as well. And to me, one of the indications of this change is that I have found it increasingly necessary to spend time defending NEA and its affiliates against attacks from government agencies, conservative and right-wing groups, and unfriendly media. So much so that it brings to mind the old question, are we paranoid, or is someone really after us? The answer is we are not paranoid. Someone really is after us. During the Bush administration, for example, NEA was audited by the Internal Revenue Service repeatedly. It was investigated by the Department of Labor, and it was called a terrorist organization by the Secretary of Education. Now that the Bush administration is history, that type of governmental harassment will stop. But attacks by conservative and right-wing groups will continue unabated. The Landmark Legal Foundation will continue to file charges alleging that we have violated election campaign law. The Right to Work Committee will continue to file lawsuits accusing us of misusing agency fees. The Heritage Foundation will continue to contend that we are guilty of financial malpractice. And other opponents will continue to argue that paycheck protection statutes and ballot initiatives are necessary to protect association members from unscrupulous union bosses who are seeking to coerce them into paying for political activities that they do not want to support, when in fact the supporters of paycheck protection don't give a rat's ass about the rights of association members. And just in case any of you may not have noticed, the Wall Street Journal, Fox News, Forbes magazine, they don't like us very much either. Why, you may ask, is this so? Why are these conservative and right-wing bastards picking on NEA and its affiliates? I will tell you why. It is the price we pay for success. NEA and its affiliates have been singled out because they are the most effective unions in the United States. And they are the nation's leading advocates for public education and the type of liberal social and economic agenda that these groups find unacceptable. But then NEA began to change. It embraced collective bargaining. It supported teacher strikes. It established a political action committee. It spoke out for affirmative action, and it defended gay and lesbian rights. What NEA said and did began to matter. And the more we said and did, the more we pissed people off. And in turn, the more enemies we made. So the bad news, or depending on your point of view, the good news, is that NEA and its affiliates will continue to be attacked by conservative and right-wing groups as long as we continue to be effective advocates for public education, for education employees, and for human and civil rights. To my final and most important point, which is why, at least in my opinion, NEA and its affiliates are such effective advocates. Despite what some among us would like to believe, it is not because of our creative ideas. It is not because of the merit of our positions. It is not because we care about children, and it is not because we have a vision of a great public school for every child. NEA and its affiliates are effective advocates because we have power. And we have power because there are more than 3.2 million people who are willing to pay us hundreds of millions of dollars in dues each year because they believe that we are the unions that can most effectively represent them, the unions that can protect their rights and advance their interests as education employees. This is not to say that the concern of NEA and its affiliates with closing achievement gaps, reducing dropout rates, improving teacher quality, and the like are unimportant or inappropriate. To the contrary, these are the goals that guide the work we do. But they need not and must not be achieved at the expense of due process, employee rights, and collective bargaining. That simply is too high a price to pay. When all is said and done, NEA and its affiliates must never lose sight of the fact that they are unions. And what unions do, first and foremost, is represent their members. If we do that, and if we do it well, the rest will fall into place. NEA and its affiliates will remain powerful. And that power will, in turn, enable us to achieve our vision of a great public school for every child.
Tonight, although it pains me to say this, Jon Stewart, Comedy Central, he was right. Now, on his program last night, he mentioned that we had played some incorrect video on this program last week while talking about the Republican health care rally on Capitol Hill. He was correct. We screwed up. We aired some video of a rally in September, along with the video from the actual event. It was an inadvertent mistake, but a mistake nonetheless. So, Mr. Stewart, you were right. We apologize. But by the way, I want to thank you and all your writers for watching. The best thing that ever happened to me is I was washing dishes, I was a busboy, I was a bartender, I laid tile, I hung wallpaper, I was a painter, a carpenter, and I remodeled houses, and that gave me reality. But I had to drop out of school 3 times. The only Mr. Gibbs,
who thinks Mr. Gibbs,
I'm a journalist who interviews people that I disagree with all the time. They give their opinion. Yeah. Fox has all points of view. We're allowing you on the program, and I don't agree with hardly anything Obama says.
Well,
so here's my but you look. Look. I think back to my former life, which before I got into radio and TV, let's see, I worked in restaurants my whole life. I worked in construction for many, many years, struggling to pay my way through college. Those are the people I'm concerned. 14% unemployment in Nevada, 20% if you add the underemployed, and he's not taking responsibility. And